Talking financial organization and a professional practice does not have to be boring. Are you ready for a few money in, money out ideas? It's Susan Gunn coming directly to your head to make you think. Can you handle the truth? Because she is known for being energetic, laughs a lot, and gives honest, sometimes direct, but always practical advice. It's time now for Money In, Money Out.
Welcome back to another episode of Money In, Money Out. You will be intrigued by today's stories of In The Embezzlement news. This has become a popular series of our listeners, and it's great fun to bring them to you. Today, definitely not excluded. The thread of fraud that ties all the stories today together is the fraud perpetrators faked cancer for financial gain or some other kind of really random, weird gain. It seems you can't live in this world these days without having health scares. But these people exploited people's sympathy and compassion and their willingness to help. Some of these stories truly are unbelievable. And joining me today to bring us these stories is Janice Janssen. Janice is the co-founder of Global Team Solutions and is also a certified fraud examiner who works primarily in the dental industry, as I do. She is an astute colleague, and I'm also proud to call her friend. I'm not sure that's always good for her, but
always.
but we have a great time with it anyway. So, welcome, Janice, to the table again.
Thanks, Susan. It's great to be here. This was a fun one.
I know. I'm excited about today. So Janice and I talk probably at least once a week. We don't work with each other or for each other, but we often check in to discuss ongoing cases and their extremely strange anomalies, trickeries, or whatever we want to call it at the time. Teresa Duncan, podcast of Nobody Told Me That. That's my shout out to Teresa. And I talked about the Collins Street Bakery last year, and that started me thinking. We never want to talk about our cases, especially in dentistry, or about how dental practices are exploited through embezzlement, the details. But we can talk about the headline cases, those that are already in the news, because we're not giving away anything that's not already out there in print, right? So we're not telling anybody, we're not teaching anybody how to do any embezzlement. So that Janice and I talking weekly may have been how In The Embezzlement news started. So today, I put Janice in charge of doing the research. And oh my gosh, you won't believe what she's uncovered. So Janice, tell us about the different types of cancer fakes for financial or otherwise strange gain.
It's so interesting, Susan, because I started looking into it and ended up with 20 cases that were in the news. It's just insane. The first, there were several that were work related. You know, one person got mad because they didn't get a promotion and faked cancer so that she could take off work, and she was able to work from home, so there were like 6 that were job related as far as the 20 cases that I looked into. And then another 4 of those were about, one person or a couple of them were trying to get drugs. They were funding their heroin, or one of the cases, she was trying to get narcotics. There was another one that was trying to get out of probation, so there's some interesting ones. Then another 10 of them just used charities to get money. They set up GoFundMe pages or whatever, and they wanted to get money. That was it.
And that's just some of those. Some of those are the most heartbreaking ones.
They are. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, because we have some of the work related ones that we were really kind of going, okay, They were interested. Take that first one that you told me about, the postal worker that faked cancer to get a leave.
Yeah, so she was a 25-year veteran of the Postal Service, the United States Postal Service. And she didn't get a promotion that she wanted. So she just decided she faked that she was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Wow.
Yeah. Ended up, she took like 112 days of sick leave, and they allowed her to work part-time so she could go to her doctor's appointments, and even allowed her to work from home so that she could do, because she did something in the production type. She wasn't like a postal work. She didn't deliver mail or anything like that.
She was
So
in the administrative part.
What's that?
She was in administration somehow.
Right. So she was able to work from home, and she fully intended to do that until she retired.
But don't they have to have a doctor's note, right?
Right. So what she did was she forged the doctor's note,
Oh my God.
yeah. So she just created her own, and it was funny because they found out later that she had actually spelled one of the doctor's names wrong.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a takeaway. If you're going to fake a doctor's note, you have to be sure that you at least write the doctor's name down correctly.
Can you believe that? Wow.
So what did they charge her with?
She was indicted by the federal grand jury with wire fraud and possession of false papers to defraud the United States. So, I mean, not only did she fake this cancer and all that, but she did it against the federal government anyway,
Don't mess with Big Daddy.
Right.
Wow. So, wow, that was incredible.
It was.
Yeah. And sometimes the security or the confidence that they have, that's what always amazes me, even in our cases, Janice, because we've talked about that. The confidence they have in being able to execute fully, because how long did she think she was going to get away with it forever?
Oh yeah, until she retired. That was her plan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because she only had like 2 more years till retirement, something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So the next one.
So the next one, this one, she was an office manager at a veterinary clinic, and she faked pancreatic cancer mainly to distract from, she was already embezzling, and the owners of the practice started questioning her on some numbers and stuff like that, and she ended up telling them she had pancreatic cancer, and so they stood by her for 3 years thinking that she had cancer, and anytime they would ask her again about the numbers, something new would come up. She would, oh my gosh, she was getting very sick again, and something else would come up.
Wow.
So it finally all unraveled. She was doctoring the payroll.
That's a new twist to, I can't get the technology to produce the reports, which we hear a lot of.
Right.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. I can't get the reports. So she would just fake the medical thing.
Right.
And so how much did she end up stealing?
Are you ready for this? $647,800. Yeah.
That's a lot of faking.
Right.
And that was only over 3 years. That's incredible.
Right. And it was, I don't know. It didn't say how long it was before the 3 years, but when she said she had pancreatic cancer, it was 3 years after that they kept her on. So I'm not
sure. Been doing it for a while.
Right.
So what did she get charged? Did she serve time?
She did. She got sentenced to 41 months in prison, and then she was ordered to pay restitution. So, but yeah, the owner said he was praying for her daily,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was one that you and I were talking about. He just said think of the mockery she has made of something as precious as life itself. And I just found that very profound, that, it's like, yeah, that is exactly it. Here she's saying she's dying. He's praying for her. And all the while she's faking it.
Well, that's the thread through all of these.
Mm-hmm.
They're making a mockery.
That's right.
Life to get whatever they want.
Yeah.
Wow.
Every one.
Okay. Well, the next one was really funny. We've already laughed at that one. And we are purposefully, just to let our listeners know, we are purposefully not giving the names to protect the guilty.
Right.
Just
right.
Or where they live or anything else. Well, we might on a couple of them just because they're not in the United States. But on this one, this guy, oh my gosh. Okay, Janice, tell us about him.
Unreal. He was 31 years old, had 4 children, told his work that his wife had cancer. Then he actually told his job that she died. They gave him time off. They sent him money, sympathy cards. The wife found a sympathy card for her death and called his job and told them.
Oh my God. We can't make this up.
That she was not dead. So,
oh my gosh.
He could face up to 15 years in prison if he gets convicted. Some of these, it was hard to find. I couldn't find what they actually got, if they actually got convicted or what, but he's facing up to 15 years.
Well, a couple of the ones that I looked up that you sent were recent, so maybe that's why.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay, so the next one was in the UK.
Right.
So we'll say where that one was. So just to let you know, fraud knows no country alone. We do not own fraud in the United States. Fraud is played out everywhere.
Right. Yeah. And this lady, she was interesting. She defrauded the charity she worked for $85,000. And that was mainly on like taking time off and that. But what she also did was she faked degrees and certificates in order to get more pay. So that was part of her fraud, was she got a pay increase with these fake degrees and forged certificates.
But not only that, but you said that she took some time off while she was actually looking for another job.
Right. Yeah, that's what she was doing while she was on her time off. She was looking for another job.
Did she say it was sick time? Because that's a lot of 3 months is a long time.
Right. Yeah, it was all sick time because she was faking a cancer diagnosis. Yeah. And she actually worked at a cancer research facility.
Yeah. And she faked cancer and got away with it.
Yep.
Well, just like the rest of them that are in the headlines, they only got away with it for a very brief period of time.
That's right.
Which is why they're in the headlines.
And that's what happens most of the time, right? They're not going to get away with it forever. So
no, they always think they are. Okay, so the next one is really funny, and you'll see why when we start talking about it.
Yes. So this one,
it's not so funny to begin with, I guess.
Right. But she embezzled $1.6 million over 5 years.
5 years. Wait, I didn't do the math for that. Let's just keep talking. I'm going to do the math.
Yeah. So she was an office manager of a medical practice. And $1.6 million was what she got.
$300,000 a year.
Wow. And it was all marked as oncology supplies. She was taking money out of this oncology practice and marking it as supplies for the practice. And that was how she covered it up. But they were all charges on her visa. Yeah.
So I looked at this one. And it's funny because there was some similarities with how did you just catch that for how you said that? Because there are some similarities with what we wondered. Okay, let me just quit beating around the bush. So I looked up the Justice Department press release on this case and found out that she used stolen funds to obtain cash advances for charges related to her, wait for it, competitive horse showing.
Unreal.
And at clothing stores, restaurants, entertainment venues. And so I told Janice, do you think she knew Rita Crundwell from Dixon, Illinois, the case we talked about the last time? Because
makes me wonder.
What did Rita do? Rita stole money to pay her credit cards.
Yep. And
the Capital One, wasn't it?
Right.
Or that was I don't know. I think it was her. Wasn't that her?
I think it was. Well,
or was that it's hard to keep them straight.
It is.
Or is that the Collins Street Bakery one?
Yeah, I don't remember. It was the bakery one.
I think it was the bakery one.
Yeah.
But anyways, regardless of that, did this person know Rita Crundwell? That's right. What I want to know. Because it's something about horse showing. Yeah, interesting.
Is there a meeting in those horse shows? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I'm just saying. The other thing that I thought was interesting was a tagline in that press release that they noted that she filed income tax returns from 2008 to 2013 in which she did not report any of the income that she stole.
Well, now, most of them they don't, right?
No, I'm kidding. Like that was big news.
All right.
Woo, press release. She didn't say, oh, I forgot. I stole money. I need to count that on my IRS.
Let me pay taxes on that now, please.
Oh, let me do that. No, that didn't happen.
No, not usually.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, I thought that was a really funny statement to put on the press release.
That is, yes.
From our perspective anyway. Okay. Right. So enough about that one.
So the next one, this lady actually embezzled from a dental office. So this is, in our wheelhouse here. It was a little more sad. She started embezzling after she was diagnosed, and there wasn't a whole lot of information on her.
And it was a true diagnosis.
It was a true diagnosis.
She didn't fake it.
Right. This one was a true diagnosis. Yeah. She said she completely planned to pay it all back, which is what they always say. That's kind of the way an embezzlement starts. So I'm going to borrow this money and then pay it back. And that doesn't end up happening. So.
Yeah. So I found out that she was ordered to pay back $36,184 to the practice. And the judge actually specified, this is what I thought was interesting, actually specified to pay the practice back at $300 a month. He also sentenced her to very specific 120 days in jail with an additional 120 days deferred, 3 years probation, 400 community service hours, and 90 days of electronic monitoring.
Wow.
Yeah.
He was very specific. Yeah. I didn't dig that far.
Yeah. There might be a reason. So This is from an area that has a lot of embezzlement. I'm just going to, I'll leave it at that. It's the same close proximity of my $1.1 million.
Right.
So I just saw that and went, oh, maybe that's the same judge. And he's getting tired of seeing people in dentistry in him that have been embezzled. So anyways, yeah, maybe. All right. So that leaves, that's that one section that we wanted to talk about. And then we were going to talk about drugs and other.
Yeah. So one of these, the lady faked a cancer diagnosis because she wanted narcotics. And this was another one. She was a medical assistant at a clinic where they did blood work and that. So she forged her own paperwork.
Wow.
To get this and then she sent it to her primary care physician to get Dilaudid. She was hooked on Dilaudid.
How do you, I mean, I don't really want to know, but how you can fake all the lab stuff? I guess they just,
I'm guessing she took somebody else's results and put her name on it. I don't know.
wow.
I don't know. But
Huh.
then it said she got admitted to the ICU for septic shock, and the physician's assistant was questioning her, and it raised a flag that there was something going on. She didn't feel right about it. This physician assistant called the doctor, her primary care physician, and the doctor said they never checked into the diagnosis. They just took whatever those results were that she sent over to them, but they hadn't verified it. And then this physician assistant is actually the one that blew the whistle on her.
Gotta love PAs.
I know. I was
Yep.
like, wow, that is awesome.
Shout out to all those really wonderful PAs out there.
Right.
They tend to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, and that's
awesome.
That's what they need to do. So,
and how many doctor's notes did she forge in this process? It's outstanding.
21.
Wow.
That's just it. It just snowballs after you one thing, you do one thing out of line, and then it just keeps trickling down, and you have to keep right.
You have to figure out the lies so you can keep continuing to cover up the lies.
And then how do you keep it straight? That's the problem,
Yeah.
But yeah, they said that the investigators determined that the insurance companies paid out $37,000 to cover medications and treatments that she didn't even need.
Wow.
Unreal.
Wow. Okay, well then the next one though decided she wanted heroin.
Heroin, yeah, she was, and this sad. She's 21 years old. So sad.
Yeah, this whole story was really sad.
Yeah. So she faked ovarian and stomach cancer. I guess she couldn't just do one. She needed to come up with two diagnoses. Yeah. And then they said 3 months later, she miraculously beat the odds on that one. She was all good with the ovarian and the stomach cancer, and then it returned as bone and brain cancer. Wow. So they set up a website. She went and put donation jars out at various businesses, like 25 businesses in the city or town she was in. Her grandmother actually sold her home and gave her $100,000.
Wow. Wow.
Isn't that insane? Her father depleted his retirement.
Wow.
Yeah. Really sad.
All because they thought that she was battling cancer.
Right.
And you would do anything for your kids.
Absolutely.
And your grandkids.
Right. Absolutely.
So, that just unbelievable. So the father has no retirement now.
Right.
Because he's given it over to his daughter knowingly for her heroin.
And it's gone because she used it all for the heroin. Yeah.
It's not like she's going to be able to repay it back.
No.
Wow. So was she charged? Did they actually charge her?
Yeah, she was charged with grand larceny and for perpetuating a scheme to defraud. So, yeah.
Well, hopefully she got the help she needed.
I hope so.
That's the biggest. Heroin is god awful ugly to kick.
Yeah, it is. That's a tough one.
So let's talk about the next one.
All right. So this next one, she was she worked for a property management company, and let's see, she forged 9 medical records saying that she was diagnosed and receiving treatment for adenocarcinoma.
Carcinoma.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Said that 10 times.
But this one, she was just trying to delay her sentencing. So she had embezzled money from this property management company in the amount of $372,000. And she was trying to push off her sentencing. So she did it. She kept it going for like 18 months.
Wow.
She kept it going. And then what happened was her defense attorney found out that she was frauding, was committing a fraud. And he withdrew from the case and said that he was an unwitting tool in a fraud on this court. So he stepped out of he wouldn't be her lawyer anymore. And then they sentenced her to 60 months, an additional 60 months. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. So, not very surprisingly, I watch true crime shows a lot, as many of the listeners do.
Right.
And as you do. Anyways, right. I was watching one this weekend, and because I speak on ethics, I have done a lot of recording for virtual presentations for the year. And the thought occurred to me as I'm watching these true crime shows, and they always talk about the defense and, what the defense said and blah, blah, blah. And there was this one guy that was really arrogant, probably a sociopath and really narcissistic. And I mean, he was unbelievable. He went through like 8 or 10 attorneys. And I'm thinking, how in the world do attorneys even represent somebody that they know is guilty?
Right. Right.
That would be a conflict of my own ethics.
Yeah.
And so this guy, really good, this guy actually did say,
yeah,
I won't be played.
Right. Exactly.
Good for him. So our next one,
this lady said that she had cancer because she wanted to have an abortion at 22 weeks. She was 22 weeks pregnant. She actually faked a cancer diagnosis so that she could have an abortion. And she was found guilty on 11 charges of fraud. She had all kinds of issues. It wasn't just that.
Yeah, but what's interesting to me was what they said about the medical privacy and the HIPAA.
Yeah. They thought that when she got convicted, they said that the practice should not have given out her medical records, but that was not the case. Since it was a court case, they were able to provide the medical records.
Well, yeah, and she brought it into the court by committing the fraud.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So the HIPAA thing didn't matter at all in that. I mean, that's what she tried. That's what her attorney tried to say, but it didn't come into play.
Yeah. So those were the few. We're only halfway done, folks.
Yes, we are.
Hang on to your chair because we have a whole lot more. These people that we're going to talk about next used charities to get money by faking cancer. It's unbelievable for a variety of reasons.
Right.
So hit it, Janice. Tell us about our first one.
Well, our first one, she said she had cancer, and she did a GoFundMe page for her because she needed money for this terminal brain cancer that she had. Well, I think she got over like $11,000. Yeah, it says more than 140 people donated $11,470, including her friends and family. So not only are they doing this to strangers, they're doing it to their friends and their family, telling them that they have cancer. So on the GoFundMe, that's how much was raised. She used like $11,000 of that donated money to go to Australia and have a good time.
Yeah, she's going to play. She's and she told everybody it was for experimental treatment, but she was going to play.
Yep. They even had a benefit dinner for her that people paid $20 a person to go to this benefit dinner.
Wow.
And yeah, she used it all on leisurely activities,
On all the fun. All the
Yep,
fun she had in Australia. I hope it was fun.
I hope so.
She's
'Cause that was
charged. They know that she's there. This was in last fall. They know she's there. I don't know if she's
right.
come back yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know they charged her with wire fraud, but
Yeah. I
yeah, it
tried to
was,
find if they had extradited her yet. She may just stay there.
yeah, yeah.
It would be really funny if they did, because Australia was British's penal colony to begin with.
Yeah, it would be funny.
There is something ironic about that, right?
Right, right. Oh my gosh.
Anyways, all right. Tell us about the next one.
Oh, are you ready for this one?
Oh my gosh.
She raised money. She faked cancer to raise money for
Drum
breast
roll.
implants.
Drum
Breast
roll.
implants.
Oh my gosh.
So her mother set up the fundraising website, and I wasn't sure. It didn't say whether her mother knew that she didn't have cancer or not, but she received over $8,000.
Wow.
So she just really wanted breast augmentation. That was her reasoning.
That's desperate.
Yeah,
And so did she get sentenced?
she did 1 year in jail and 3 years probation.
Which probably only served 3 months.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Not
Or if
long.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's a lot for a change in the scenery.
yeah.
Which is a nice way to say it, isn't it?
Unreal.
I will say that I had a client that was a breast guy, plastic surgeon. He used
Uh-huh.
to refer to himself as that. Anyways, he was a plastic surgeon, and he did a plastic surgery on one of his employees that wanted the breast augmentation. And I kept telling him, better hang on because she's going to quit as soon as her last appointment. And sure enough, she quit right after her last appointment.
I believe it.
Yeah. Anyways.
Crazy.
All right.
Wow.
What about this next one? Oh
The
my
next one
goodness.
is really, really sad. This one made me really sad.
And this one
This-
is in the UK.
yes. And this lady, she forged medical documents saying that her son, that was 7 years old, had an autoimmune disease. And then later, 2 years later, she escalated that to that he had lymphoma. She shaved his head. She shaved his eyebrows to perpetrate this fraud.
Wow.
Yeah, so she made him use a wheelchair whenever he was out in public. When he was at home, he could walk around, but when he was out in public, even when he went to school, he was in a wheelchair. They actually scammed people for over $130,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And she used some of that money to go to Disney World, where she wheeled her son around in the wheelchair and went to the front of the line. So,
Just think about that son.
Isn't that sad? And
Well, what
she
kind of
had other
effect?
children too. So those
Really?
kids, yes, it wasn't just one. I know
Oh
she
my
had other
gosh.
kids as well.
I just, there is Munchausen syndrome, which,
Right.
they believe their kids are sick. And this has taken that to a whole different level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's really sad because those kids are going to need counseling.
For sure.
And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand is the fallout for the family
Right.
after an embezzlement. And Janice has talked about that quite a bit. And
Yeah.
it's
Very sad.
it's not what the embezzler thinks of when they're stealing the money. What they think of when they steal the money is that they want that, whatever that is.
Right.
And I think it's called unrelenting greed, which is one of my speaking topics. But it's that greed and that level of greed and that thirst for what they want without any regard to the fallout because you're going to get caught.
Right.
And that's the part that we just don't understand. I mean, just to think that you're not going to get caught, that's pretty arrogant.
Right. And then, I mean, with this one, it's just like those poor kids. I just, makes me so sad.
And the kids for all of our embezzlement cases,
Sure.
Janice.
Yeah, absolutely.
All these people that we've talked about serve time.
Right.
I haven't had a lot of marriages that have lasted after an embezzlement case.
No.
And so
part of it.
Yeah, if they weren't a part of it.
Right. Exactly.
Anyways. All right, well, tell us about the next one. That one's weird.
Yeah, this one, she faked that she had leukemia. And she did this so that she could have this lavish wedding. She told everybody she was sick and she was dying. And the one thing she wanted was to marry this man before she died. So she had a dream wedding. The money paid for rings and dresses and like a month in Aruba.
Wow.
Yeah. So the husband found out, he says, after the wedding that she was actually not sick. So they got divorced. She was indicted for fraud and grand larceny.
Wow.
She had to pay back $13,000 to her donors. But guess what? They remarried when she got out of jail.
Really?
Yes. So do you really think he didn't know about it? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
He said you can't help who you love.
Okay. All right. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So,
I don't know. How do you trust somebody after that?
I don't know. I don't know. But
I mean, if you weren't a part of it, how do you trust?
Exactly. That's why I think he had to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of tough.
Right.
All right. What about our next little highlighted?
Our next one is, she's actually from about an hour from me. So this was interesting. It happened very close. And actually my grandmother's hometown. So it was interesting. But she claimed that she had cancer and muscular dystrophy so that she could receive money and donated items. People helped her out, gave her food and just anything that she needed. And her charges, I found this interesting. Her charges were from 2015 to 2019 in this particular city. And she was sentenced to 18 months in jail and then 3 years probation. But they said that her scams, they think, went back to 2006. So, yeah, so she was
in other towns?
Yes. So it went back quite a ways.
Well, that's not really surprising, Janice, because we've both had cases where the embezzlers, I had a 4 or 5 time repeat offender that just topped states and towns. So it happens.
Yeah, it does for sure.
It's that taste of greed. They know how to do it, and they've gotten away with it to a certain extent. And if they weren't prosecuted, they really did get away with it. But these guys got found out and they were prosecuted. Wow.
Right, exactly.
Unbelievable.
Which is why it's in the news.
Yeah. So the next one, you said that this gal had faked cancer for 2 years.
Yeah. And she had 2 fundraising pages set up. She told everyone she had 18 months to live.
Well, that's why she got caught, right? Because she lived past her expiration date.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So, but one of those fundraising pages was set up by her friend, and then the other one was by her son.
Oh.
So, and like the son, his school football team even did a fundraiser, and that raised $16,000. I mean, she shaved her head to, keep this going. But yeah, she was required to pay restitution, and it said it had two separate ones. So like one was 51,000, almost 52,000, and then the other was 478,000. So I don't know where that all came from, but she's sentenced to 24 months in prison.
Maybe one of those was the fundraising page.
It might be, yeah.
Wow. That's going to the great lengths of trying to look like it physically.
Right. Like that mom that shaved her son's head and eyebrows and all that stuff. So
our next one is also of the UK.
Yes. And it was a GoFundMe again. And she said that she had just weeks to raise money for a major surgery in Spain. And so she claimed some kind of breakthrough drug that could improve her chances. This lady even posted a picture on her GoFundMe page, but it was actually of her when she got her gallbladder out. Oh. She was in the hospital bed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, but the doctor that had just given her an all clear actually went to the police and raised suspicions because he saw her GoFundMe. And so he went to the police and said,
"Oh, wow.
I just gave her the all clear." So
he saw her GoFundMe.
Right.
That must have been a rude awakening.
Yeah. But she used it on travel and football tickets and online gambling. She had a good old time.
Yeah. And what's interesting is you said she pled guilty?
Not guilty. She pled not guilty.
Oh.
Yeah. Because she told the court that she believes she did actually have cancer.
I see. That's why she spent the money on traveling and football tickets?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Huh. So, and online gambling. Yeah.
And online gambling. Yeah.
Like, what do you want to bet that the online gambling is what caused the problem in the first place?
More than likely.
Yeah. I'm going to say that might have been the problem.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Back in the United States.
Back in the U.S., this lady faked a cancer diagnosis, and she did the GoFundMe thing again. She got $12,000 and said that she needed it for medical bills, but it was actually her friend and her husband that tipped the police off and said they didn't think she actually had cancer. So, she was sentenced. Yeah, she got sentenced to 3 years probation and was required to pay restitution. But then there was another sentence for another year of probation for forgery charges. So, yeah.
Can you imagine having to tip off the police about a relative?
No, I can't. It's very sad. That's got to be a really hard thing to do.
Yeah, no kidding. I don't get it, but how sad to, again, I just hate to beat that horse, but it's like, how do you have a husband and a friend tip off the police? I
know.
Well, in our next one, not to leave Canada out.
Right. Oh my gosh. We have this lady, she found a lump on her breast, and even though it was benign, she told everyone she had cancer.
Okay.
So, and what was said in the article was she did it to get attention and money. And a lot of it sounded like it was attention. There were some mental issues going on there. But she pled guilty to one count of defrauding a woman out of $7,400 that she collected at a fundraiser. This lady collected for her.
Wow.
Then she got sentenced to 10 months of house arrest, and then she had a 5-month curfew after that, and then it would be 100 hours of community service. But what happened was, while she was doing her house arrest, she was able to go out for 3 hours for necessities, like to go shopping and that kind of thing. Well, while she was out shopping, she stole $11 worth of cold medicine and got caught by the police.
Gosh. Yeah.
So then she got sentenced to 30. She got added to her sentence another 30 days in jail on that one. And then a few months later, her conditional sentence was completely revoked and she had to go to jail. So she didn't get the house arrest anymore.
And maybe she was a kleptomaniac.
Yeah, there was something wrong. And they said there were underlying mental issues that she needed to.
Seriously, Janice, with all of these, there's underlying mental issues that need to be addressed.
For sure.
I mean, absolutely. For most of them, there's something anyways.
Yes, for sure. And this next one especially. I mean, this one really pulled at my heartstrings. This next one was a mom of 5 boys. She had 5 boys, all ages 3 to 11.
Wow.
She told them that she was dying of cancer. She even told her children that she was dying of cancer. And so her friends and her family all rallied around her, and they helped her out. She had 2 best friends that they took her on trips to, so that she could have a great end of life, her last year or whatever that she was going to have. This article said that her parents and her in-laws gave her up to $200,000, about $200,000. But what ended up happening was she had all these fundraisers and all of that stuff. Well, her friends started to get suspicious. They said she didn't really look sickly. She looked like she was pretty healthy, like she was tan and she kind of was muscular,
Yeah, and you even said when we were talking about this one before, you said that the husband of one of the friends is the one that raised the alarm.
Yeah, it was. It was the husband of one of her best friends was like, she looks pretty good for being sick, and she wouldn't let them take her to she wouldn't let her friends go with her to any appointments or anything like that.
No chemo buddies.
No. So they were all having to watch, nobody went to any appointments. And that started to raise some flags. So
not even her husband?
No, her husband didn't go to any either. He said she was a very private person.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really private. $200,000 worth of privacy.
Yeah. So, and they said it may have even been double that. They just estimated $250,000, but maybe even double that. But the friends and the family are the ones, they hired a private investigator.
Wow.
Guess what she was doing when she said she was going to chemo appointments?
Shopping at Neiman's.
Yeah, something like that. They said she was shopping. She went to the gym. She went and tanned. She went to the spa.
Wow. She had a ton of fundraisers and stuff.
Yeah, she did. And she had a lot of friends and family that rallied around her. And I'm just so sad for those boys that thought their mom was dying of cancer. Unreal.
Yeah. So this one was kind of recent.
Yeah, because I know that she was charged, but I don't know that she ever got, couldn't find anything about whether she was convicted or anything like that. So I searched all over and could not find anything. So,
well, I think she actually did have a court date, according to this one article, but it doesn't say what the result was. So don't know. I'm sure that she had to pay people back.
I would hope.
Yeah, I just, again, the sons are going to go, Mom, you faked cancer. How do you believe something that comes out of somebody's mouth after they spew that lie?
Yeah.
And involve. I mean, and that wasn't just a one-time thing. It was an ongoing.
Right. Right.
Say how long it lasted?
I can't remember. That's what I was trying to think of. I don't remember how long that lasted.
But it had to have been a while.
It was quite a while because they, her friends took her on a few trips.
Wow.
And then they started, they even were like, well, why doesn't she want to spend time with her kids, these last months of her life?
Right. Instead of going on fun memory trips.
Right. With just her friends, no family.
Well, I can see that it's at least 8 months. Yeah, and so she went to, I mean, we're not talking about just a few little piddly trips.
No.
Did you see where she went to? Grand Canyon, New York, Las Vegas, Disney World, Cancun, Paris, Lourdes, France.
And her friends all paid for it. Paid for all of it.
Oh my gosh. She went to Lourdes where her Jennifer and her family prayed for a cure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. And they pitched in and picked up the tab.
Yep. Didn't want her to have to pay for any of it.
Wow. Yeah, that's Anyways, that is being able to keep up the lies and stuff. That's amazing.
It is. I don't know how you keep track because I couldn't keep all the lies straight in my head.
I'm not good at lying anyway, so that would really be bad for me.
If you tell the truth, it's easier to remember.
Yes. 18 months is how long it was.
Okay.
That's just incredible.
It really is.
Too bad. Really sad. Well, and not that this one's any more sad than the rest of them we've talked about.
No.
But so what's interesting is talking about all of these, obviously, all of them were huge cries for help.
Sure.
I just, all of them needed counseling to deal with whatever it is in their psyche that causes them to do that. And I kind of feel that way about anybody that embezzles.
Right.
But what's the takeaway? I mean, you and I were trying to figure that out. What is it? Don't believe everything somebody says. It can't be that.
No.
And then you said, trust but verify.
Yeah.
What? And as an employer, do they ask for a doctor's note? But we learned on this that they can fake those notes.
That's the sad part. Yeah. I think it's mainly just trust your gut. And if you think something's wrong, dig a little deeper. If you don't feel like it's right, but I don't know. If it were my friend, I would believe everything she's told me, I'm sure. Because why would she lie to her friend about having cancer? How do you lie about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
No, I don't either.
I just, like I said in the beginning, everybody has had health scares. And I've had a few this last year, and I have never wanted to put more distance between them. But to call it and to lie about what people are doing in these stories, it amazes me. It amazes me. I can't even imagine putting your friends through that.
No.
Much less your husband or your kid.
Or your kids. That's, yeah.
Your kids. No. We talk about trust our gut a lot. When we speak, I know you do this too, we always say, trust your gut, because you should check things out. If your gut is telling you something is wrong in your practice, then you should check it out, because it doesn't just, if you do have an embezzlement going on, it doesn't suddenly one day go, I'm healed.
Right.
That doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
And I think too, like even if it's not an embezzlement, if you feel like there's something wrong, maybe it's not embezzlement, but maybe it's that whoever you have entering your payments and that doesn't know what they're doing, and they need
Right.
to get some training. And that's something that I've recommended on a few occasions, where it's like, well, it doesn't look like they're stealing the money, but they don't know what they're doing.
I call
So they
I
need
call
some
that
help.
I always say it's either embezzlement or it's incompetency, one or the other.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, and you're right, but they still, it may not be embezzlement, but they should check it out. And I know that you offer a service like I do, and mine's called Ask the Expert, and it's 2 hours of time just to remote in and look. And you do the same thing, just
I
to
do. Yeah.
remote in, because not everything, I mean, we could sell you an embezzlement investigation for really high dollars.
Right.
But
Right.
until I know that you really have something going on, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And
No, and
so,
neither do I. I like to do that, because that way we can see if there is anything to be concerned about, or if maybe it is just a training issue or something like that.
yeah,
So,
and it does, there's no guarantee. I mean, obviously, if you do a 2 hour,
right.
it's not like we're digging very deep, that we're really only scratching the surface. But usually in a 2 hour period of time, we'll see something that
Right.
goes, you might want to check into this further.
Something doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's other times we go, yeah, no, not seeing it, because they'll say, this is what I saw. But when you really compare what they're seeing, it's not there. And I've
Right.
had that happen. So
Oh, yeah, me too.
saved them a lot of money.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
But anyways, well, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Anything last note that you can tell your listeners, your listeners, my listeners, your listeners?
No, I can't think of anything. I just, like I said, these are really sad, and it makes me sad that we have to even bring this to anybody's attention, that these things actually happen. People are faking an illness to get money or time off work or whatever it is. It's just really sad that the fact that I found 20 in a relatively short amount of time, that that's happening a lot more than what we actually found on this.
And we didn't talk about it, but you and I both know that, because we did talk about it beforehand, we just didn't talk about it on the podcast, that there are instances where people have called in sick with COVID and
Right.
really have COVID,
Yeah.
but they just wanted off the time.
That's a sad one to me too, because I saw one that the guy faked that he had COVID, and they actually had to shut the plant down for a week and do all this major cleaning. They lost production for a week. I think the plant actually lost $175,000 in just that week, with people
Wow.
being, yeah. So yeah, that's a sad one, and I have a feeling we'll hear more and more about that as time goes on.
I think what we're going to hear is that in the last year, since March, whatever, 15th, 12th, 10th, March 2020, is that since then, there has been a large number of fraudulent occurrences through embezzlement, through funding, GoFund pages.
Right.
I think there's going to be in fact, I feel that already, and you and I've talked about that.
Yeah.
I think dental practices are at a crisis point, quite frankly, because of everything that's happened this last year. Embezzlers love chaos,
Right.
because it screens their activities. And so I would say that if you are a practice owner, please be aware of your finances, because if you are not, then you are ripe to have an embezzlement. If you don't know how to do that, then contact Janice or I, and we will be happy to train you on how
Absolutely.
to watch your finances. I would much rather do that than do a fraud investigation later because you didn't know.
Right.
It's a lot less expensive to train and to do it on the front end than to take care of it on the back end.
And I know we don't want to see it happen to anybody. You know, that's our main thing. That's the reason I got into this in the first place, was to educate doctors that it does happen, and unfortunately, it happens quite a bit. So you really do have to watch your finances, and like you said, Susan, I mean, not only is the chaos ripe for that embezzlement, but you think about the people that are in need because maybe their husband's not working, you know, they're out because their plant got shut down, or, you know, whatever. There's a lot of people that are out of work. And so that need is there also right now. So we really have to be paying close attention to.
Well, and fear is a great fertilizer for embezzlement.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so all of that, regardless of whether they really need it, you know, because I've said this often, when I was growing up, which I know my nephew, if he was here, he would say, you mean during the rock ages. But when I was growing up, my dad was a home builder, and there were times that it was rainy and it was cold and it was gross out, and he didn't have any particular job. And so there was no money coming in. And so they made money stretch out. You didn't buy anything during those times. You didn't purchase anything. And we ate a lot of navy beans and cornbread. I grew up believing that navy beans and cornbread were my dad's favorite meal. I honestly thought that. And buttermilk, gross. I don't know why anybody, he would crumble up the cornbread in the buttermilk. And that was just, I know it's what it does when it gets to your stomach, but I didn't need the pre effects of that. Anyways,
No.
but I mean, they weren't horrible for us. We just didn't have money then.
Right.
And we didn't have credit cards back then. And so you didn't have the money, you didn't spend it. And I think now when people are fearful that they're not going to have the money during a slow time, and there's a lot of people that don't have the money right now.
Right.
And but I'm concerned about the dental practices and the fertilizer that COVID-19 has been for potential embezzlement cases. So if you're a practice owner and you're listening to this, beware. We have warned you. Anyways, I want to end with a quote. Thank you, Janice. Actually, thank you, Janice. I just want to say thanks for bringing all this information. This was, I'd say, fun, but enlightening, sad.
Right. I know it's definitely not fun, but it was very enlightening to see all of these things, because it makes me really sad for the people that actually do need, you know, the money, and these GoFundMes, you know, that are set up, you know, that actually need the help. This puts a bad taste in people's mouth as far as that goes, because it makes you think twice about giving.
Yeah, no kidding. I will have Janice's information in the show notes, just to let you know, and I will be how to contact her if you have any questions. I will also have my info there, so how to contact me and to get hold of me if you've got questions about something going on in your practice. All this to say, you know, please, if you like our podcast, like it, you know, seriously rate it like you like it, and share it with your colleagues. That would be awesome. Get our listenership up. Share any of the information. Actually, so this is really funny. I was talking to an AT&T guy this week, and his dad is a doctor. And so
oh, wow.
I told him about the podcast, and he goes, "Oh, I'm going to listen to this." So he was very excited about it. So anyways, that's my shout out to that guy. And I think it was AT&T. Let me think about that for a second. No, it was with the credit union. Anyways. Oh, no, it was with my mortgage company. I'll remember it in a minute.
There you go.
Anyways, he was real excited about it. So I would just like to end with a quote from one of the cases that we talked about, that these are all mockery of something that was as precious as life itself.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking, but it's the fallout of what happens with embezzlement. And this is another In the Embezzlement news brought to you by Janice Janssen and Susan Gunn. It was our pleasure to do that today. You guys take care.
Thanks so much, Susan, for having me.
Oh, absolutely. We'll be talking again.
All right.
That's a wrap for this podcast of Money In, Money Out. Thanks for listening. Be sure to write down the most valuable tip you learned today so you don't forget it. And remember, you can find out more about all the valuable books and services Susan has to offer at www.susangunsolutions.com.